Assalamualaikum Pak Anies. As what you mentioned before, the Malay language is similar to Indonesian language. So I think without a translator we can understand each other. So can I proceed my question with Bahasa?
There is non-Malay in attendance here.
So with English then.
Pak Anies asked you to ask the question in English then, for the benefit of the other audience.
Okay. So I would like to ask regarding the language of Malay. What is your opinion if this language became the official language of ASEAN beside English? Because I think this language is spoken in Malaysia, southern Thailand, and some part of Indonesia. So what do you think if this language became the official language of ASEAN? Thank you.
Namanya apa?
Azam Kasubah.
We need to enrich our language to begin with. I don't know how many words in Malay today. How many words of Malay? The number of words in the Malay language. How many? Anyone? In Bahasa Indonesia, we have 150,000 words in Bahasa Indonesia. And I remember when I started my job as Minister of Education, at that time it was only around 90,000. So I told our team, we need to enrich our language because 90,000 is not enough. Do you know how many words in the language, in English language? 1 million. And 7,000 additional words every year. How many languages in Arabic? 12.7 million words. Okay? So when you talk about our language becoming a language of international community, you really need to do our homework, enrich our language. How do we enrich our language? Absorb local language across the archipelago. Because in many local languages, even the word falling, it can be 20 words of falling. If you fall to the front, that's a different word. If you fall to the back, that's a different word. If you fall because it's slippery, that's a different word. And if you fall because there is a hole, it's a different word. What I'm saying is that, richness of a language is important when you present it to the international community as an international language. So that is why it's important for us here in Indonesia and Malaysia to continue enriching our language so that we can stand up in the international community and presenting our language to the world. But if we haven't done our homework, wait a minute, okay? Hold on. So do our homework.
So my question is, firstly, I'm really honored to attend to your session today. And interestingly, you did mention several times about Gotong Royong, or togetherness in the Southeast Asia, especially in Indonesia. So, based on your leadership experience as the governor of the biggest city in Jakarta, in Indonesia, especially Jakarta, have you experienced to solve any horizontal conflicts, especially the conflicts regarding religions and politics? So what is your best suggestions and solutions to solve the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine right now? It's the first questions. The second question is, in your mind, what is the best things that an ideal nation and ideal people must do to achieve the sustainability and also wealth, as you mentioned before? Thank you.
The second question, would you repeat?
Okay. It's about sustainability and wealth. So what are the things that an ideal people and ideal nations must do to achieve sustainability and wealth? Thank you.
Some of these important questions. First, with regard to Gotong Royong, had we experienced the method of using Gotong Royong in solving problems? Yes. Alhamdulillah, Gotong Royong is our roots in Southeast Asia, and the modern terms is collaboration, the work together, and we actually declared Jakarta as a city of collaborations. And when we solved problems of our traffic, Jakarta was famous for being heavy traffic congestions. When I stepped into office, Jakarta was ranked 4th most congested city in the world. Not bad. When you're number 4, I mean, what can you expect? When you're number 4 in the world. So you step into the office, and so our idea was to transform our citizens from taking private vehicles into public transport. But we have more than 25 operators of public transport across the city. So I invited them for a meeting, all these operators, and I share with them, the idea of Gotong Royong. Let's solve this problem together. We will shift the way we manage public transport. In the past, the public were using public transport, then they have transaction. So you pay to the microbuses, and the microbuses will give you services. And we told them we're going to change this. The public is paying to us. You can take public transport for 3 hours at no additional cost, and you can move any public transport with single tickets. And then we pay these operators based on kilometers, so they don't have to rely on how many passengers in their microbuses, because we will pay them based on kilometers, not based on numbers of passengers. So they don't have to wait in a certain corner of the street waiting for passengers. They just have to circle the routes. So we changed the equations. We talked to everyone. At first, it was one of the most difficult meetings we had. The most heated meeting I ever experienced, actually, when I meet with all these operators. And they were saying, the government is never fair. You are operators and you are regulators, and you have conflict of interest, and we have all these, sharp words to us. And I was new governor, so they were talking about government in general. So we shared our plan, talked with them. Meetings took place more than 70 times to reach agreement on the rates. It is a long process. It is a collaborative process, but at the end, we reach agreement, we move forward, and then we are able to double coverage of public transport in Jakarta from 42% of area of Jakarta into 87% in 4 years. And we tripled ridership from 350,000 passengers per day into 1 million passengers per day. Why? Because all these operators were integrated into a Gotong Royong system together. So Jakarta ranked number 4 most congested city. The following year, we dropped to number 7. The following year, we dropped to number 10. Okay? But we're still on the top 10. You want to be on the top 10, but not on traffic congestions. You want to be in the top 10 for something else. But in the 3rd year, we dropped to number 34. And then we dropped to number... And that's not the end of the story. When we dropped to number 46 in the following years. So imagine, from the 4th most congested city into number 46. We are much better than Tokyo actually now. Yeah. And how that is done is not by us giving instruction. It's by suro. It's by Gotong Royong. It's by collaboration. Is the process speediest? No. More than 70 meetings. Can you imagine? 70 meetings, intensive meetings, sometimes heated. However, those are in a private conversations. All these differences until we reach agreement. And once we reach agreement, then we move forward. So we had that experience. And with regard to religious affair, the same thing. Sometimes we have issues of permits to build churches. Sometimes we have issues of permits to build mosque in Jakarta. And when you face that challenge, you don't go out to public and announce. You invite all related party, sit down together and share what is your thought, what should be the guiding principles, and openly talk about it. I remember having conversations with communities that rejected a permit for a mosque. Imagine in Jakarta, there's a community that say no to a masjid. Okay, you talk to them, discuss with them openly. But on the other hand, I'm also meeting the Muslim neighborhood who said no to permits for church. You talk to them, explain openly, explain the rules and regulations openly, hide nothing, and tell them why it is important that everyone to uphold the values that I have been echoing over and over again. The principle of equality, the principle of justice. When you talk about that principles, it's a lot easier for everyone. I ask these simple questions. Do you ever read on your WhatsApp group or your Facebook stories about our fellow Muslims in UK, in Germany, feeling grateful that they finally have masjid for them to pray? And for many, many years, we often heard difficulties of Muslims as minorities in other places to have place of worship, masjid. Imagine in Jakarta, there is that story spreading on the other side of the world that the Catholics or the Christian unable to build churches here in their land. We are happy when the Muslims get the masjid in Europe. We should be grateful to allow our fellow Christians and Catholic to have churches in this land as a spirit of justice and tolerance. But again, surah, the spirit of Gotong Royong. So we had that experience. Now,